The Ravenwing are the mounted, fast-moving knights of the Dark Angels army, and one of my personal favorites.
Yeah,
very
me too.
thematic, very stylish.
I love
right?
bike armies.
That is so cool. Well, we're really excited. There's no better time to be a Ravenwing player than today because they brought back a lot of the flavor, kept a lot of the power from the index, and made for what we think is going to be a very exciting army to play. Let's check it out. So there were many rules that they gained from the index that came out a couple months ago, and a lot of those remained the same. A couple of things changed.
That's right.
So let's start off with the basics, shall we?
Yeah, the first thing I want to say is they've made it viable to play an all Ravenwing army, which is great. This is the kind of personality that I think they should bring to a lot of factions, but they made it if you take an Outrider detachment, and everyone inside that detachment has the Ravenwing keyword, not only do you get your 3 CP back, but your bikers get the OBSEC keyword as well, so you're really playing a Ravenwing army. I'm really loving this change.
This is a great and unexpected change. I'm so excited that they did it. All your Outriders and your regular bikers all get OBSEC, which is a big deal. I mean, the Outriders are already very powerful units, and now they become more than just a utility pick. They actually become a mainstay of the army, which is not only flavorful, but also quite powerful.
Yeah,
right?
I really love this, and I want to be encouraged to play these flavorful armies, and now they're really pushing us to do that. Right. And I hope that this signals a change for 40K in general towards these more thematic builds, because I'm really, really into this. Yeah. But let's take a look at their special rules. All the Ravenwing keyword get the Jink special ability, and Jink is very, very strong, right?
So good.
It gives everyone a 5-up invulnerable save, or if they moved, or a 4-up if they advanced. And this can go on your speeders, your bikes, your characters. Giving that invulnerable save is fantastic.
It's great. And I'm glad they kept one of the distinctions in it, which is the fact that you have a 5+ invuln until you don't move from movement phase, which means you can't get Alpha Struck turn 1 because obviously you were racing onto the battlefield in the first place. So I noticed they did that in the index, and glad they kept the wording because it was actually quite well written. So another thing that changed about the new army is the fact that each of these different wings has their own super doctrine.
Yeah, that's right.
The chapter tactic of the Dark Angels is Grim Resolve. If you don't move, then you're +1 to hit in shooting and melee. So
this army doesn't want to not move most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. And then previously, the super doctrine for the army was additional range on your shooting during your Devastator doctrine.
It's not good.
What? Well, luckily, this is actually quite an elegant fix. The one for the Ravenwing is called Speed of the Raven.
Yes, it
is. So while you're in the super doctrine, while you're in the Devastator doctrine.
Yeah, so first turn.
Yep, you're going to get +3 move, and you are able to shoot after advancing with a -1 penalty.
And that's your rapid fires, your heavies, things like that. Able to put in some hits. It's really great.
It's great. This is another place that they could have messed up. And in the past, there's been things where your weapons become assault, which means rapid fire gets half as many shots.
That's right.
But no, you get all your shots, even your heavies, just -1 to hit. So it's cool. It's not the biggest, most powerful one in the game, but it's thematic and it's much better than
And
what
it's something you could use. I find that it's actually kind of hard to use going first because your opponent's kind of hidden, and you could race up onto the points, but there's no one to shoot.
Right.
And you often don't want to race out onto the points. This is better if you go second, whereas your opponent's moved out. Now you can race out, really take the board back from them and be shooting effectively.
Absolutely. So really excited to be trying this out.
Yeah.
There's, of course, a lot of these units are from the codex, and we're excited to be seeing things like ATVs, the new land speeders are about to come out.
Those Primaris speeders for the first time coming out, and they're going to get that Jink keyword, which is big.
It's kind of perfect timing.
Yeah, the Ravenwing keyword, it's great.
And they actually, I think, are one of the best suited to benefit from Grim Resolve, even because you think about it, if you move, you're going to get the invuln, so matchups where you care about that, you move. Otherwise, if you're not moving, it's +1 to hit, and that's really important for vehicles.
Because they are real gun platforms.
Yeah, and they don't get any rerolls.
That's right.
So it's really, really important to get buffs in any way you can as a vehicle.
Yeah, if you're not, maybe you're not afraid of them getting shot back. You can just kind of post them up, make them your gun platforms, but then when you need them to move, they stay really durable, which I'm really into.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about some of the stratagems. There's a lot of them in the book. There are a lot of really interesting ones.
Yeah.
And we want to take a moment today to talk about the ones that are specific to Ravenwing.
Or they work specifically well with Ravenwing.
That's true. So the first one, of course, is Full Throttle. This one existed previously, still here, still good. This is an extra move after you've advanced that cannot exceed 12 inches, but it's basically another 12-inch move. No shooting, no charging afterwards. And a lot of these strats are quite punishing for big units, right?
Yeah.
This costs 1 CP if you're a squad of 5 or less, and 2 CP if you have a squad that's bigger than that.
But I think about using this on my Outriders. They have objectives secured.
Yep.
And so they could race all the way back to my opponent's deployment zone, or they could go from one side of the board to the next and pinch an objective with their OBSEC. It's very, very useful. Now that they have OBSEC and that they can project that OBSEC out, this strat actually becomes really interesting for pinching objectives.
Absolutely agree. I think that's where you're really going to see
yeah.
it. Another one is high-speed focus. This is another one that existed before. As we mentioned with Jink, you have a 5+ invuln if you move. You have a 4+ if you advanced. Well, if you did neither of those, you can still use a strat. 1 command point when you're targeted gives you a 4+ invuln. Nice little utility.
I'm really, really into it. I think it's great. A 4+ invuln is
no
huge.
Joke, yeah.
It's huge. And so it doesn't work in combat. It's just against shooting.
Correct.
But that's still really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. This next one is, I think, a little too pricey, but really thematic.
It's good to have in your pocket.
It's so cool. It's called The Hunt. And what this is it's a pre-game move before the start of the first turn. So after you know who's going first, you can immediately move one of your units. And you can do anything, right? So you just the only restriction is you have to end 9 inches away from your opponent, which isn't
going to be a problem.
You know, it's fine, especially because again, if you're going first, you can move after this.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's powerful pre-game movement. The one hurtful thing about it is it's really expensive, right? It's 2 command points if you have 5 or less models, and 3 command points if you have 6 or more. So
comparing it to other, this is a pre-game move. A lot of people have redeploys, which would be 2 or 3 CP to move several units.
Right.
Now that stays within your deployment zone, but they're taxing this pretty heavily.
Yeah, I think so.
I think because you could theoretically probably use this multiple times, they don't want it like to be 1 CP and you move your whole army.
Whole army.
Right?
Oh, that's true.
And so they're trying to prevent that. I think what they should have done is kept it cheap and then made it a once only. But anyways, it's still pretty good. If you have like a big rune in the middle of the board, you could get up into it. There's some really cool tactics where you could go and tag your opponent's turn 1 using a strat we'll tell you about in a minute.
Exactly.
So I think it could have its uses, but it's not something you're going to do all the time.
Yeah, it's another very situational one, which is not a bad thing. It's just another tool in your toolbox.
Yeah, that's right.
So this next one, also expensive, 2 command points, but very, very interesting
very strong.
for such a shooting army. This is target guidance, and the way it works is you pick an enemy unit visible to and within 18 of one of your speeders.
Yeah, that's right.
And your whole army gets +1 to hit against them.
Well,
looking at you, Mortarian.
Yeah, it's really, really, really good. Speeders are already cool. We've got new speeders. So you're going to have speeders to play with. You throw a speeder up on something you absolutely have to bring down because this army has actually good shooting.
It does, yeah.
And
plasma.
Yeah, all the plasma and even just the mass bolters.
Right.
Getting army-wide +1 to hit, your whole army just hitting on 2s, it's really great. Now, obviously, this army already has ways to hit on 2s, but that's standing still. And that's not a thing you're going to do.
No, not with Ravenwing.
Not with the Ravenwing. So I'm really into this. I actually think I would be using this strat like pretty regularly, maybe once a game or every other game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be a key strat.
Definitely. So speaking of ways of pinning your opponent, let's talk about Stasis Shell. I love the concept of this one.
This one could be really, really strong. Basically, what you do is if you shoot a unit with a grenade launcher, this is basically the Black Knight grenade launcher.
Right.
If you hit, you do shoot 1 shot. If you hit, then they can't fall back, which you can do big things. Like let's say you had a huge squad of those. They pre-game move, they ran up, grenade launched, tagged a squad over in like the side of the board. Now all of a sudden they're deep in your opponent's deployment zone, and they're tagging so they can't be shot at. And if there's no melee threats around them, then they just got so deep in your opponent's lines, and your opponent's like, oh, what am I going to do? I've got this 10-man squad. Now, you don't have to do something quite that dramatic to get use out of it. Of course, just any time. This army doesn't want to get shot to death.
No.
So anytime you have a unit of those knights, and they could just go in, and it doesn't have to be the knights. You could pile everything in your army onto a unit, and then they can't fall back. Like it could be like a rhino or something.
Yeah, why not?
And it just can't fall back. So it's great.
Something cheap and tough and just pin them in their turn 1.
Exactly.
I think is really interesting. So I wish it wasn't 1 shot, but that's a heck of a shot, man.
But you could re-roll it.
You can, that's right. Which you will. So we also see the return of a classic stratagem, Weapons of the Dark Age.
Yes, I know we're all glad it's back.
Yes.
Because honestly, it's cool.
It's so cool. This is +1 damage with plasma weapons from a target unit.
Yeah.
It is 2 command points, but my God, it's so good.
It's so good. 3 damage matters so much right now in the game. And whether you're even doing this just on a 5-man squad of knights, or a 10-man squad of knights, or a 6-man plasma inceptor squad, oh my. It's so good. And we're going to see so many armies built around using this stratagem.
For sure.
And the Ravenwing use it as well as any other with their knights.
Absolutely. So really happy to see that one
so glad.
Back in the arsenal. Tactical Appraisal. This is one that is not specific to Ravenwing, but interesting for everyone. This is the ability to put a unit within 6 of your Warlord into Combat Doctrine immediately. Now, to me, I see this mostly for the Black Knights, for their ability to just get that extra AP. Their Corvus Hammers are strength 5, -1 AP. And so taking that to -2 AP is actually pretty important when you're dealing with Space Marines, which are everywhere right now.
Yeah, they actually need the AP.
They really do.
So I think it works well with them. The last one, Intractable. Of course, this lets you fall back and shoot. Yeah. This is anyone can use this in the Dark Angels army, but it works really well here. Because imagine your knights, they got tagged, they have those juicy plasma weapons. You wanted weapons of the Dark Age.
Yeah.
Falling back, being able to shoot can be really big.
Exactly.
It also lets you get out of the inner circle keyword, which doesn't allow you to fall back, which is good.
It's cool. I like it. I think this is a great strat. I'm really happy that they have it alongside the White Scars now.
That's right.
So that's awesome. Now there's a bunch of relics in the book, and a surprising number of which are Ravenwing only.
Ravenwing actually get more. The Deathwing only get 1.
Yeah.
The Ravenwing get like 4.
They get so many.
Right. So, but that's all. A lot of this is because of the Talon Master.
It is the Talon Master, which we don't rate super highly currently.
Yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. We don't really love the Talon Master right now.
I hope we're wrong.
He's a teeny bit pricey.
Yeah, he's really expensive for what amounts to a lieutenant. They do have ways of making him better, but...
Well, let's look at some of the relics.
Yeah.
So the first one, Reliquary of the Resplendent. This one actually was really good in the index. It was just a 3-inch aura of -1 invulnerable save. Nothing like it existed in the game. So strong. They've toned it down a little bit.
That's right.
So you can't take someone from a 5-up invulnerable save to a 6, or from a 6 to nothing. But you can take them from a 4 to a 5, or some things have a 3. So it is still exceptionally strong.
It's really powerful.
But it's not so mean.
Yeah.
It was mean before.
It was so mean. And I think this is a great change for it, because you're exactly right. It's not going to hit those people that just barely have an invuln. That's just enough for them to survive.
Right.
It's gonna hurt other people like Storm Shields and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is,
or you got to take down that Mortarion.
Mortarion.
Zip up, take away that, take away 1 save.
Yeah.
Get your whole army +1 to hit. Get all that plasma in there. Boost them to 3 damage.
There you go.
Now he might actually die. Right? You'll need it.
Actually.
You'll need it.
Yeah, seriously. So I think this is a good and healthy change for a really cool relic. There's another one that is for the Talon Master only. As I mentioned, there's a couple of these in the actual book. This is Eye of the Unseen. Oh, it has a 6-inch bubble of -1 leadership.
Meh.
Who cares? The most interesting part about it is the fact that enemy characters in engagement range of this person must fight last. They're not eligible to fight until everyone else has.
Makes them a great duelist.
I think that's cool. Yeah.
It's neat, and you can really just like bully him around where you're charging and you charge in with him, and you force him to make the characters fight last. It's not as good as normal fight last abilities that can pick anything.
Right.
But in a character-heavy army, you might find that it's actually stronger.
Absolutely. Another one also for Talon Master.
This is a classic.
Blade. It's so classic. We want to talk about it not because it's good, but because it's cool.
it allows the Talon Master to fight a little bit. Basically, what it is it's a relic sword, +2 strength, -4 AP, 2 damage, which cool. Yeah. +2 strength is like a magical strength that doesn't matter a whole lot. Yeah. There is a bit more T5 in the game than there used to be, but whatever. -4 AP, okay, fine. A lot of power swords can already get to -4 in the Assault Doctrine, so it's fine. 2 damage is actually the bare minimum these days for like what I expect from a sword.
Right.
But it is +1 attack.
That's cool.
It just needed a teeny bit more.
It needs a little more.
It either needed +1 more damage, which I know sounds crazy, but it's not, or it needed another attack.
Yeah, I would have gone with the attacks for
something
sure.
like that.
Yeah. So still a cool blade, and I think if you're already going to be investing the points into a Talon Master, maybe because of that it's an interesting to consider. But again, you're also competing with other amazing relics.
Yeah, lets you have a chance to go through like an Intercessor squad.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right? So it could be cool.
Yeah. So the last Ravenwing specific relic we want to talk about is Arbiter's Gaze. This is another classic, also nerfed, I have to say. It does not turn off cover against a unit for all of your friendly units.
That's right.
What it does is this weapon itself ignores cover, and it makes the bearer always hit on 2s all the time, and they even specify, including even Overwatch. This thing is super cute. That's all I can say.
There's a weird thing, like, because obviously he's a lieutenant, he hits on 3s.
Yeah.
Hitting on 2s is okay. He has quite a few guns. Not that many guns.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Overwatching. Who's charging your Talon Master?
Right. Yeah.
Like that's not that common.
You have to like put him on in front.
And then you still have to pay a CP to Overwatch. Like that one time you got to Overwatch with it, you'd be real pleased.
Yeah.
But it's way too situational for me. And ignoring cover, cool. It's good. But it's fine. You're fine. You're gonna get the job done.
Yeah.
So we're not impressed with most of these, except for the -1 invulnerable save is actually genuinely good. Almost every army makes use of invulnerable saves, and you're almost always gonna have a target for it.
That's right.
And when you really need it, you need it. You know what I mean?
That is true. This is gonna be one of those things that you take to tech into just for those matchups where you need it, right? If you're taking an all-comer list, you might not use this some games, but the games where you need it, it's going to be so important.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's be honest, Space Marines are around, and this guy Mortarian's also around.
You know, it's a funny thing. You have to get within 3 inches to turn off Mortarian's invulnerable save, but within 3 inches, he turns off your auras.
Oh, you're right.
So you'd have to use your psychic power to turn off his aura.
Yeah.
That turns off your aura.
There you go.
So now we're talking. That's how you play some Warhammer. There are some specific Warlord traits as well. One of them with a clever name, lightning fast reactions. That's for those Eldar players out there. This is does exactly what the Eldar name suggests. It's just a -1 to hit. This isn't that big because honestly, your captain or whoever should not actually be at risk that often.
Yeah.
So the -1 to hit's not the biggest deal.
Yeah, it's a marginal help in those combats, but you definitely shouldn't be shot at. So yeah. The other one I think is more interesting. It's Master of Maneuvers. This is the ability to fall back, shoot, and charge. This one is very interesting. I think it's the most interesting, of course, on the actual Ravenwing Chapter Master. And so, because the thing is, who else are you putting it on to make it really that powerful? I guess a captain?
You could put it on like a bike chaplain who's like a fighty character also.
Yeah.
It could be fun.
Someone who, yeah, exactly. My only concern is like taking the buffs away from other places, right? But I think it's interesting. So definitely want to play around with.
It's the more usable of the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, one of the other things, of course, every one of these codex comes with a handful of secondary objectives.
Yeah.
And in this case, there's one secondary objective called Death on the Wind, which we think actually is going to work pretty well for them.
Yeah, that's right. So this one is in the No Mercy, No Respite category. So this is kill more, while we stand, we fight, things like that. And so this one is 2 victory points every time you kill a unit with a Ravenwing unit after that Ravenwing unit has moved 12 or more or has charged.
Yeah.
Really good, really powerful.
Really, really, really strong. Yeah. Now, the one thing you have to keep in mind about moving 12 or more.
Yeah.
This is a weird part of Warhammer where you can move legally in a circle. So you could kind of be where you could stay where you want to be and have moved 12. Now, you can't have literally stood still and got your +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But you had to have moved, but you can move and end up back where you started. So moving 12 inches is nothing. No. You could always do that with almost everything. And charging, of course, that's the way you get into combat. So you're not going to get 15 points on this except for against mega MSU armies.
Exactly.
But I think you're going to get 10+, which is all we ever look for.
Exactly. I think it's very consistent, and it's also doing something that you already want to do, which is killing your opponent. And it does also, as you mentioned, kind of pair with other parts of the army. You can bring Greenwing, and remember, the final blow has to be done by Ravenwing, but you can pair this with other elements of your army and just be a little strategic about who's fighting when. And it's a solid secondary, which I'm surprised to say because we haven't been a fan of
a lot of them. Well, this book actually has solid secondaries. Most of the like the Death Guard secondaries are not amazing.
Yeah.
That just came out, and it's like we were kind of down on them, but these are genuinely good.
They're awesome. So very excited to see that being played very thematically. So what we'd like to do now is talk about a list that we've kind of put together.
Yeah, an example list.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could do this, honestly.
That's what I'm loving about not just this codex, but all of Space Marines in general. There's so many builds that are all viable. Yeah. And this book has opened up list building even more with these new detachments. But we're going to build a pure Ravenwing because we're purists.
Yes.
We want to see a pure. So the thing you got to start with is a single Outrider detachment. Of course, you need the Outrider to get those Ravenwing special. Yep. We're going to try to fit almost everything inside there, but you'll see we're always short on HQ slots.
Yeah.
And we're going to recommend some extras.
That's right. So we're starting off, of course, with a Captain on Bike who does have Ravenwing keyword. Thank you, Codex Space Marines. And then we've given him the Reliquary of the Repentant. Yeah. That's the -1 invuln for enemies. He can be very bullish, be pushing up objectives, and you're going to want to bring his reroll bubble with him.
You need those reroll ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got plasma in this army, you don't want to be killing yourself.
Yeah.
So the captain's actually pretty crucial.
Exactly.
Okay, we've also got a chaplain on Bike.
Naturally.
The chaplain is just solid. Yeah. Whether it's a +1 to wound in combat or +2 to charge, there's so many things, or even just him becoming a great combat character himself.
Totally.
He's excellent. We're not putting any specific Warlord traits or relic recommendations on him. You build him the way you want, but we think he's a great include.
Build your own chappy.
That's right, but he's on Bike. It's got the flavor, you know?
Exactly. Now we have a boatload of fast attack, of course. We have 2 units of Grey Knights. We've decided to build them out as units of 5.
Black Knights.
Sorry, Black Knights. Different color. 2 units of 5 Black Knights. One of them has the grenade launcher. The trouble with the grenade launcher is you're losing a plasma talon for it, and it's a tool that's pretty situational.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think one squad that is all you need to sort of decide where you're going to be wanting to use it, if at all.
Yeah.
And they're just solid. Again, we're keeping them 5 or less so that you can do all these stratagems without spending a million points.
The only thing is, of course, we're losing out on like 10-man squad with Weapons of the Dark Age. That's too killy.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean that as in like it's an oppressive for your opponent. I mean you're often not going to have a perfect target, and your opponent has now a perfect target to go against.
You just debuff the heck out of it.
Yeah, really go after them. But I could see the argument for a big squad, Weapons of the Dark Age, throw the 4-up invuln on them, things like that. Your choice. We like smaller squads. It's a little less eggs in one basket.
This is already like a 200-point unit. And
yeah.
So it's a 400-point unit is a lot. You can do it, but
you're betting a lot on it.
It's a lot. We then, of course, have a number of support characters for these guys. And these, of course, don't take up any slots because of the Black Knights themselves. And so we have a Ravenwing Ancient on bike. And naturally, we've given them, of course, the Chapter Ancient ability from the Space Marine Codex. Remember that your Outriders and your bike squads are OBSEC, but not your Black Knights.
That's right.
So what we'd like to do here is actually give him the Warlord Traits Steadfast example to be able to grant one of these guys objective secured within range. You could also do Rights of War.
You could do Rights of War. Rights of War is technically a little better.
Yeah.
Rights of War is technically a little stronger, but hey, this one's more on brand for this team. So it's cool. But generally, we're just trying to make everything OBSEC all the time. It's a very powerful way to play.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's giving the pluses to hit in melee, because this is also a melee unit. So nice and tasty. And then, of course, the secret leader, the Apothecary. This is Ravenwing Apothecary on bike. Also doesn't take up a slot. And we've made him a selfless healer, of course.
The selfless healer, just being able to bring a Primaris bike back or a Black Knight back, you're going to get your points back instantly. And because these bikes actually have several wounds, you can heal them up very strongly. You can heal 2. So you could have 2 separate units that are wounded and then a whole bike back. It's a lot of wounds you're bringing back. And you have really elite models, you're going to get a lot of value out of them.
That's right. So that's all of our elite slots. Again, we only have 2 in this detachment, but because we get 2 of them for free, it actually works out quite nicely.
Yeah, that's right.
Now let's look at the fast attacks, which are just completely loaded.
We wish we could have more, actually.
I know. That was actually the biggest trouble in this list, right? We're starting off with 3x3 Outriders. They are now objective secured. They're 5+ invulns if they just move. Already a powerful unit.
Yeah, we know they went up in points, but actually with the OBSEC in this, they're totally worth it. 5-up invuln and OBSEC, I'll take it.
Oh, so good.
They're already so good. But with those 2 things added on, I'm really into them. Especially with all the strats that work so well with them. We would rate them higher than the older bikes, but not by much. The older bikes are still great.
The older bikes give you more OBSEC bodies. And that's, to me, that's the
more
biggest
combat
advantage.
Options, things like that.
Exactly. But these are great utility
and
picks.
They work really well with the Apothecary.
Yeah, seriously.
So, okay, the next one is our speeders. We've got like a speeder wing here. And just for fun, we're taking 2 of the new Primaris speeders. We're not being prescriptive about which ones to take. It's almost dealer's choice, whatever you like. They range from really expensive to a little cheaper. We generally like cheaper units. But your choice, we actually think that they're good gun platforms. Of course, with the invulnerable save, they're more durable than in any other faction, like any other Space Marine faction. So, and you kind of need some reliable firepower.
You do, and they have decent range. They have longer range than like the rest of this army, for example.
And they're fast. And
and this is like the perfect unit again for that Grim Resolve, right? If you're worried about the invulns, about needing the invuln, you move. If you don't, you get pluses to hit, as we mentioned. So we're really curious to try these units out on the table because we haven't really seen them in any list because obviously they haven't been out until this point.
That's right.
And so this is what a perfect time to actually finally get the models in hand. Excited to try those out.
Lastly, we have one just generic old school speeder, and this is our sacrificial lamb. This is our speeder that we either throw out to get engaged in all fronts or zip him all the way up in order to get within 18 of a key target to give the rest of the army +1 to hit. So he's kind of our throwaway speeder.
That's right.
If we have a key target we need to drop or we need to get somewhere on the board, really crucial. He's our cheaper, less important speeder.
That's right. So that rounds out the list, fills it out. You'll notice that there's one thing that we're missing.
Yeah, we're definitely missing it. But he's not Ravenwing.
I really wish there was a Ravenwing Librarian. The Librarian powers for Dark Angels are incredibly powerful.
They're so strong, they're an auto-include. You definitely always need a Librarian, but he's not Ravenwing.
He's not Ravenwing. So
there's no way to make him Ravenwing.
No. I would love to have a Librarian Primaris Biker or something. I don't know. I personally would probably give this guy a jump pack so you can actually keep up with the rest of the army. You're losing a wound because he's not Primaris, but everyone's zipping around.
Just picture the story. He's like, hey, keep up. And he's like, gives him this pack and it's just like bursting along and everyone's zipping.
Come on, guys.
Exactly.
But he is really so powerful. So you could try to put this in a patrol or just an Ox detachment. Just get those powers.
Even just an auxiliary support. Take the Librarian. I know he doesn't fit, so this is our bonus. Like, hey, if you really want to be purist, you could leave him out, but he's better than the chaplain. Like, if you only wanted 2 HQs, he is actually better than. Like, he's really good.
It's true. It's very true. So definitely check out those.
It's just chaplains are so interrogator chaplains are so central to the army. You know what I mean? In a weird way.
Yeah. I actually put him in the list when we were building. I put him before the captain because I was like, oh yeah, we got to.
He's actually the best HQ slot.
Yeah.
For this army because their powers are so strong.
Absolutely. So that is an idea of a list. Definitely let us know in the comments below what you guys are thinking about building. Yeah. Really excited about the possibilities. And of course, while the Ravenwing stuff is amazing, you could, of course, combine this with different wings. Yeah. Many combinations.
You should check out our Deathwing video, too. We've got a video showing how you can build pure Deathwing, which is also really strong.
I love this book. I'm so excited
for
it.
Me too.
So, of course, let us know in the comments below what you thought. And if you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. We'll be playing this stuff very soon on the stream. So go ahead and check it out. And we'll catch you guys next time on the Tabletop.